Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of my works are connected to history painting. So I think sort of there's a way in which, you know, if we go into somewhere like the Louvre, then, you know, we'll see these works which are kind of history paintings, and I guess that it seems a rather old-fashioned preoccupation to be involved in that. But I do see my works in terms of representing or trying to look at certain moments. Sometimes they're more contemporary, or sometimes they're more historical. And in a way, you know, the playtime's like a portrait of early 21st century capital. And so in a certain way, I would say Baltimore is a work which very much looks at the relationship of, you know, the black gaze onto history of art, you could say. So there's a kind of looking at the history of art through the figure of Melvin Van Peebles, and trying to juxtapose black wax models as one artifact and Renaissance history paintings another artifact, both being representations of memorialization for different cultures, which are the same culture, in fact. So I think this question of the use of color, that in, you know, some people criticize my work because of the question of beauty, these sorts of questions, you know, which in some extent they're not a problem for me, because, well, I make them, and when I'm making my works, the question of desire is very important in making those works. I always think it's very interesting that when critics bring up this question of beauty, or I think they're talking about it being too painterly or too pretty, that's never ever been espoused by a black critic.
Yeah, it's true. It's a very white Protestant American prejudice that criticism has to be very, very, very raw and black and white and simple, no?
Yeah, but also I think there's a little bit of a sort of cliche about what constitutes political work. You know, that political work, you know, has this very modernist kind of strain on it, and, you know, it's made usually by a certain group of people. And so if you're making political work and your work is, you know, want to be close to music or to the blues, not that I want to evoke black idioms as just being part of my work, because it's not. My work is influenced by lots of different cultures, and, you know, modernist white culture plays a lot of influence in my work. Of course it does, but I think that the way that it looks is connected to those very early discussions, which grew out of being in the Sankofa Film Video Collective, and discussions which were questions among black artists or artists of color, or not just artists of color. There are lots of white theorists and people involved in discussions about the work that we're making, and in a way I'm bringing the baggage of some of those discussions into the present. And so I think, you know, there's the clash, the generational differences, and the different languages that you're bringing with you in your work, and trying not to disband those for the convenience of modernist pursuits or making things tidy for certain audiences.
But the same